Hi, welcome to Michael and Lisa White, the channel that helps individuals and couples cultivate a no-surrender mindset through life adversities so they may thrive. I'm Michael, and of course,
I'm Lisa.
Today, we're going to talk on what battles do you choose in a relationship. So stay tuned.
Let's face it, there are going to be things that annoy you about your partner. You are going to have arguments.
Sometimes the annoying thing about your partner after a couple of years is the exact same thing what turned you on about him at the beginning.
That is so true. So here are 5 things that we use to help us pick our battles and to get through those trying times.
Yes.
Number 1, got to learn how to manage those emotions. Sometimes when you're in the heat of it, you can be feeling anger, resentment, fear. Sometimes you get your feelings hurt.
Guys, we're never taught how to manage our emotions. Generally speaking, I know there's guys out there who can manage their emotions, highs and lows. Many guys I know don't. We're taught to have 2 emotions. One is either we're happy, sad, or angry. But there's actually that's 3 actually. But there's actually a slew of emotions in between, the ability to manage it, to breathe, to calm down so we can actually be part of the solution and not continue to throw wood on the fire.
And us ladies, we know we're very emotional, so we run from hot and cold within a 10-minute period. We've gone through all the emotions. So that can affect what's going on between you and your partner.
Absolutely.
Now, when I first met Mike, I was a control freak. Everything I did was about trying to change him, make him who I thought he should be. He had such great potential. If he would just be the man I knew that he could be, right?
While I was like, whoa, slow your roll.
I picked every battle. This really led to pushing him away instead of drawing him closer to me. And it caused him to not be the person that I fell in love with anymore. He was this person I was making him become, and he was no longer the person that I fell in love with.
I was unhappy. I felt like, am I actually the person that she wants? I'm like, I'm not very authentic right now. And I had to really just
rein it in. He had to rein it in.
Breathe.
And it caused a lot of resentment to build up in between us.
What happened with us is that our relationship grew in a very adversarial way. It was like a power struggle. It was like who had to be right, who was wrong. It was like, yeah, but it was constantly that. And then what we had to do, we grew from there by looking at resources, learning, talking to other couples, looking online, reading books. That actually Lisa is for me. And actually, she learned
that he is for me.
I am for her as well.
Just the way he is.
You know those people who don't like the ends of bread and they cut off the ends of the bread. So I just had to trim a little bit of my rough edges off. But I accept those in order to kind of make that sandwich, since we're kind of using that, fit better.
I actually love the bread ends. Number 2, you have to decide if the battle that you're going to pick is really worth it. Is it really worth the argument?
What's an example of that?
Why can't you just put the toilet seat down?
Did you load the dishwasher? No guy ever said that to their wife.
Why do you always leave the dishes in the sink? Why can't you just clean them up?
Can you please start getting ready earlier? Instead of, I'm coming, you want me to look beautiful? We're going to be late every time we're together.
Why do we always have to watch action movies? Why can we never watch a romantic comedy?
As soon as you can learn to work the details on your iPhone, so I don't have to be 24/7 tech support.
But you're so good at it.
But you're fully capable of doing it.
Why do you always start yelling when we're having a conversation? We're just talking and then all of a sudden you start yelling like we're having an argument.
When you raise your voice at me in public, I walk away. I walk away because I don't want to embarrass you and I don't want to lose my temper.
Why can't you turn your socks right side in? Why are they always inside out in a ball when I'm having to do the laundry? So here are some questions that I ask myself before I begin to pick my battle.
We ask ourselves.
I ask myself, is it really something that I'm going to care about in the morning? When I wake up in the morning, is it still going to really bother me, or am I able to let that go?
Is it really life or death? Is it really in the picture of everything important? Is it that important?
Maybe we're just tired or hungry or we've had a long day, and we're carrying that into the decision-making process, which isn't very healthy, and it can cause us to make the wrong decision.
Am I frustrated? Am I preoccupied with something else? And then all of a sudden this conversation comes up and then then I'm lashing out instead.
Number 3, don't ignore something that is really bothering you. I just did a 360-degree turn. Instead of picking all the battles, I went to picking none of the battles. And therefore, I started building resentments towards Mike. Things that were really bothering me, I was trying to push him down in order for us not to get in an argument, and that wasn't healthy either.
We all heard the phrase, happy wife, happy life.
Oh yeah.
When people say that, I just cringe. I just cringe. Because what it says to me is that someone has to always back down to make someone else feel better, and it's not good for either person.
Mm-hmm.
How about let's change that? How about happy couple, happy life?
Yes.
That way everybody has to come to the table and talk things through, work it out.
So over time, I learned to ask for small modifications, things that would help the situation progress for me. Like, hey babe, you know when you wad up your socks in a ball before I put them in the laundry, if you could turn them the right side in, that way they get washed all the way through, and when they get put in the dryer, they don't come out still wet. So if you could do that for me, I'd really appreciate it, because it's something that really bothers me. I feel bad because I'm not getting your laundry clean.
And for me, is that making little changes. Oh, I understand, because it probably makes it easier also to fold. And guess who can help there? And guess what I had to do? Turn my socks inside out. I was like, I get it.
Here's another example. Hey babe, if you would really work on putting the toilet seat down, sometimes in the middle of the night when I go in there, I'm not thinking about raising or lowering the toilet seat, and I sit right on the cold, dirty porcelain. So if you would just consider that, that'd save me the time in the middle of the night of trying to clean everything after sitting on the dirty porcelain cold toilet seat. I'd really appreciate that.
And then when I hear a shriek because she sat in the toilet bowl seat, I'm like, I should probably give that a consideration. When I asked her about the dishwasher, did you load the dishwasher? What happened somewhere between year 1 and 10 is that I took on all the dishwashing. She was overloaded, and I said, what can I do? She goes, could you do the dishes? So I've been the dishwasher in our house for a very long time. So much so that I have rules and I have training for people in the house on timing, how to put things in the sink, what to put in the dishwasher. And I used to fight them all the time on it. Come here, let's have a watch. Look, you see you didn't rinse the bowl out before you put it in the dishwasher. Now it's dry, and in a couple of days, now it's not going to get cleaned. So I would take it out, I would scrub it. For me, I stopped doing that. Instead, since I do the dishes all the time, when putting them in a dishwasher, I just started checking the stuff, rubbing them down myself, and putting it in. It saved the hassle. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't going to burn the boats because there's just one tiny hole.
When Mike brought this to my attention, I finally understood what he was saying, because the dishes weren't getting clean when we loaded them a certain way in the dishwasher. Now that he does it, all the dishes get clean, he's happy with the results, and I'm happy that I don't have to do the dishes.
When we sat down and I shared with her, honey, you got to admit, your time management skills sucks. And she was like, whoa, and I said, well, let's look. And I had some examples when we had to be somewhere at a certain time, right? I reminded myself and watched how we were doing this. Then I sat and talked with her about it. I said, remember we have to be here at 6. And you said, you're going to start getting ready at 4:45 so we can leave, because we're supposed to be on the road by 5:20, 5:25. She goes, yes. Then what happened at 4:45? You went outside and you started pulling weeds. And
Well-
you got distracted. And I'm like, honey, we got to do this. Yeah, but it'll only take me a few minutes. Your few minutes turned into 20 minutes. Then you come inside and you're hot. And I'm like, hey, babe, you remember, we got to get going. No, you're right. Don't rush me. You always rush me. And I'm like, like another head came out. So when you do that, it makes me, when you do that, you actually are making me not want to talk with you, separate from you, distance, and just be patiently waiting here, stewing. And then we're late. And the whole way, you're like, why aren't you talking to me? Don't you think I look beautiful? And I'm thinking, I don't like to be late. And now I'm stressed, rushing to get to where we needed to go.
So after I heard about why it affects Michael the way it is, I began to understand the feeling and the emotion behind it. See, I know that Mike is impatient. He has a waiting problem. When we're getting ready to go someplace, he wants to be the general and make sure everything's moving in the right direction. Now that I've learned that about him, I make sure that I'm getting ready in a timely manner. And it hasn't been very often that I haven't been ready at the time. But I've taken it upon myself to make sure if that affects him, I don't want him to feel that way. I want us to have a great night. I want him to tell me, gosh, honey, you look great tonight. I want us to get in the car and not be rushed.
Relaxed.
Because that affects him, which in turn reflects our evening. So I've learned to make sure that I'm ready and I'm managing the time properly because it brings us closer together.
Yep, and it allows us to be on time. You forgot that part, but we're on time. And sometimes we're a little early so we can relax and chat and do things and meet people and be calm instead of, okay, great to see you. Got to go sit down in our seat so we can watch the show. And then we're... So she forgot that part. But I appreciate that about you.
Moving on. Number 4, make sure that you plan to talk about it.
And if you're fearful about having the words people come in their minds as, critical, confrontation, you feel emotions coming up, again, go back, seek number 1, manage your emotions.
This time should be a thought out time. It shouldn't be when you're rushed, when you're getting ready to do something, at night when you're getting ready to climb in bed. Schedule a time that works for both of you when you have the time to devote to it and you know that you're going to be talking about something that is maybe controversial.
You need to give it some time so you guys can express, digest what you're saying, be able to respond, have time if it gets a little heated to take a break. When Lisa's walking out the door and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that time. She can't really respond. There's not much time there. So plan it, right?
And don't be intentional about planning it so that they can't respond. Hey, by the way, oh, have a great day.
I'm like, I'm not having a good day right now. Okay, so a suggestion is find time somewhere in a weekend, sometime that you cut it out. If one of our rules is if it's not written down, it's generally not going to happen. It's not important. So meet once a week, check in during the week. Are we okay? Not is the house okay if that's general talk, but are we okay? What's going on? Is something we got to clear up, talk about? Let's not start creating all these skeletons in our closets after we work on getting it cleaned up.
You also want to seek to hear, not seek to be heard. You want to make sure that you are listening to what the other person is saying to you. You're thinking about it. You're not trying to think about what your reply is going to be, what you're going to shoot back. You want to make sure that you are listening to what they're saying, taking it into consideration, really trying to think about what they're trying to convey to you. Don't be defensive. Take it in. If it's bothering them and it's affecting them, then it should be important enough for you to take the time to really hear what it is they're trying to bring to your attention.
And if you feel defensive, write it down, have a notepad, and then you can personally go, why was I feeling defensive about this certain situation? Because it's not the conversation, it's how you're actually reacting to that conversation. Right? Your spouse is for you, meaning we're two human beings trying to actually converse and get along. They're for each other. Then generally there's not a threat there, right? They're not going to stab me in the middle of the night.
Kick you out of the house.
Right. Not doing any of that, right? Everything being fair and equal. We're just having a conversation about something that needs to be ironed out, that's wrinkled.
Oftentimes, like Mike said, when there's that feeling of defensiveness, it's because there's some truth behind it. So I have to look at myself, my part in it, not his part.
Yes.
Me, how
Yes.
do I fix it? What can I bring to the table? How can I make this situation better? Because I never want my spouse to feel less than, hurt, angry, resentful. That's not the kind of relationship we want. So if we want to move forward, we've got to take an internal, honest look at ourselves as well.
I agree with her about herself.
I knew you would. So here's a great example. I came from a very neat, organized, detail-oriented type of family.
There's a protocol for everything. There's a protocol.
It was pretty bad. I mean, I would follow behind him. We had glass tables, and when he'd put his drink on the glass table, I would pick it up, wipe the water up, put a coaster underneath it, and then give him the evil eye.
How I remember it. I would be sitting there, and it was just her and I, and it was hot. We're in Houston, Texas, watching a football game or something going on, and I would pick this glass up and drink it. As soon as I picked it up, she was there wiping it, putting a coaster there. Then by the time I put it down, it was on top of the coaster.
That's right. Protocol. But what I learned over the years is all of those little things were really bothering him. So he wasn't raised like that, and I was trying to force all those expectations and the way I felt things should be done on him. So what we learned over the years is how to work together, how to give and take. Mike brought in a whole different perspective to me, and it's not that he came from a family that was sloppy or anything. They just didn't do the type of things that we did. They weren't so detailed that it was affecting the family and the household. And so I had to learn how to let some of that go. He's been very therapeutic for me. He's helped me knowing that I'm very particular, organized, and detailed. He knows that about me, so he tries to do things accordingly because that brings me peace. And finally, number 5, when you decide to let something go, you choose to not pick that battle. You need to not pick that battle. Don't not pick it today and then pick it up tomorrow again. Mm-hmm. Okay, once you've decided that this is not a battle I'm going to pick, you've got to let it go. And just because you choose to let it go, it doesn't mean it stops bothering you. Mm-hmm. It does, but you rise above that and you learn that it's not important, and then you learn to manage your emotions around it so that you're not bringing that resentment up in the future and trying to pick that battle up again.
Now, if it's something is being disrespectful or not being considerate or, things of that nature that you two talk about, okay, then yeah, you got to bring it up. But like Lisa said, guys are more able to do that because we compartmentalize. Once we work something through, we can move on. What she's talking about is the women's that has this ripple emotional effect that somehow bring back a decade ago to attach it to something that happened just right now.
That's right.
Y'all know you do that.
When I almost lost Mike, when he almost died, again, it changed my perspective of everything. Those little things that used to bother me so much were no longer important. They just didn't matter anymore. It was more important that I had my husband with me, that he was able to walk and breathe and continue living life with me. That became so much more important. And suddenly the messy couch, the kitchen table with papers all over it, all those little things that used to bother me so much, it just didn't mean anything anymore. Those battles didn't matter. I know that my husband, he would never intentionally try to annoy me or manipulate a situation or make me feel bad or try to hurt my feelings. That's just not him. We love each other. But in every relationship, there is conflict, there's tiredness, there's things that happened in our past that maybe we haven't resolved yet, and so we bring them into things that are still bothering us right now.
And as a couple, just like a 7th grader moves to become an 8th grader, 9th grader, 10th grader, we also have to evolve and grow and mature in our relationship.
That's right.
And doing it together, it's much more valuable in the future that if one person is continuing to grow and the other person's checked out and not.
You see, we have a goal in sight, and we're both on the path towards that goal,
Yep.
towards a healthy relationship,
Yep.
towards a successful marriage,
Yep.
towards good communication.
Yep.
We're both working on that together. That is the only requirement for proceeding and moving forward in your relationship, is that you both have to be willing to move forward.
Yeah, and give effort.
But by acknowledging it daily and moving towards it, you're taking those small steps to make a huge stride in your relationship. Remember, your relationship should be more fun than work.
Absolutely.
But you do have to do some work. By developing our no surrender mindset, it has helped us to develop the ability to pick our battles in a healthy manner. If you strive for success in choosing your battles, then we invite you to apply these steps to your life.
For more content, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe so that you're notified when we do something new. I'm Michael.
I'm Lisa.
Until next time,
Bye.
see you later.